Okay, our next speaker, Sara Sheldon. Her title is In Harm's Way in Iraq. Sara used to direct the Learning Tree Museum of Western Art in Boulder and is a writer. Her interest in the U.S. Marine Corps began in 1990 when her son joined and she learned about the training and values of the military firsthand. She has put herself in harm's way in Iraq, and her experience has led to publications of her experience and observations. She has traveled in Iraq, has been embedded with the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force in Camp Fallujah. What it's like to be in harm's way, Congress and the Department of Defense forbid women to serve in combat. Yet women have played an increasingly important role in the battlefields in Iraq and Afghanistan. A total of 144 female U.S. troops have died. 865 have been wounded. So why are women Marines in Iraq? That's what Sara wanted to find out, and she's about to share that with us. Thank you.
Okay, well, I should have known better than to do that, to go to Iraq. Why, there are women in the Marine Corps? Wait a minute, why would any woman want to be a Marine? And what do they do there? And did they go to Iraq? What would they do in Iraq? Well, there I am in Iraq, looks all calm and cool, doesn't it? Not. There was not one space in Iraq that was safe. It is a combat zone, the entire place. All the bases, over 200 bases we had in Iraq, and every one of them was getting rocketed at least once a day in the beginning for the first 5 years. This is how you get there on a C-130. They carry 42,000 pounds of cargo, so it was me and a few diplomats and a few troops and a bunch of canine dogs and some ammunition and a front end loader and a Humvee, and they come down in a spiral over the airport to avoid rocket attacks, and you lose it. Your stomach. It's terrible. This is the Black Hawk, me sitting in the Black Hawk, going into Kuwait. I came out on a night trip into Baghdad. I came out on a night trip on one of these things, and we landed in a field suddenly. It was black. We fly dark. They don't have any lights on the plane. We sat down in a field 7 minutes short of our thing, and here I am. Here's a picture of them sitting in the gunners sit in the doors with 7.62s scanning the thing. This is at daytime, of course. At night, we sat down in a field and had to get out and hide in a field next door while some unnamed threat happened. They came and said, get back on the plane. We got back on the helicopter, flew in, and they never told us what it was that was threatening us. Those things happen all the time. This is a communications battalion. There are 850 men and women living in here. There's a bunch of porta potties up here. They are in charge of all the communication systems in Anbar province, which was the purview of the Marine Corps. This is what Iraq looks like. It's nothing but continuous brownstone. Those are porta potties in the back. There are probably 500,000 porta potties in Iraq, and that they are the only place in the entire country where a Marine can be alone. But you don't want to be alone in full gear at 120 degrees in that place. That is not cool. This is Colonel Hobart's Public Affairs Office, where I worked for her. I was embedded with her. That building was destroyed the week before I got there by a rocket that landed 50 feet behind it in the field. She wasn't there, fortunately. The building was leveled. They rebuilt it in plywood, redid it, and had it done in 2 days. This is the woman that's ahead of the communications battalion you saw before. All Marines carry weapons at all times. As an officer, she can choose to carry a 9mm. She also has an M16, maybe an AK-47. All women are trained in combat. We have 7 people behind every single Marine shooter. That means every combat soldier. People like this first sergeant who ran the Postal Service. The first part of the war, they had 38,000 pounds of mail coming in every day on 40-foot long trailers. This woman is in charge of 2 battalions, actually. She's an executive one. She laid 20 miles of fiber optic cable to keep the communication systems, cryptographs, for the intelligence people. The Marines did it with a little ditch witch and shovels because the contractor said it would break their machines. They couldn't possibly do it. This is where I bunked with 48 women Marines. No, everything's in a sea bag. There are no lockers. About 2 rows down from us, a rocket hit one of these tents while I was there. It did not explode, thank God, but the rocket engine set the tent on fire. Everybody got out, but everything was destroyed inside. This is what the showers look like. They're all run by generators, which are hauled in and run by gas or oil. These are the tents. That's the way they look that you live in. And they all house about 48 to 50 Marines. This is CWO4 Kim Adamson. She's 51 years old. She was a civil court judge. She's now a reservist working in Fallujah to rebuild the Iraqi court system. She could not even get the men that she was working with to look at her for weeks. Finally, she got them to look at her. They made friends with her. And over tea one day, one of the judges quoted JFK's inauguration speech to her. That was a revolve. This is Lieutenant Colonel Sara Cope, who led 44 Marines on a security detail following trucks up to Baghdad. They were in mop gear in the beginning because we didn't know we had weapons of mass destruction. They had to wear that continuously. The only time they could take it off was to eat and to get as much off so that they could relieve themselves once a day. This is Alexandra Pushinsky. She was the world kickboxing champion. She has a university degree, spent a year at Oxford, and also was in management at a PR firm in New York, and she decided to join the Marine Corps after 9/11. These are the 53s, which fly in pairs. They fly in the dark always. There are never any lights. You can't see the landing ground. You can't see anything. They don't have a schedule. They just appear. When you load, the Marines give their name, rank, and serial number. They asked me to give my name and my blood type. This is Sergeant Major Howe, who was in charge of the morale for about 2,000 Marines in one of the camps. Morale is tough because Marines for 9 months do not drink, they do not have sex, they do not hold their babies, they do not shop, they do not go to Starbucks, they don't cook, they don't drive a car, they don't commute, they don't cook, they don't shop for groceries, and when they get home, it's a hell of a deal to pick all that up again. Those were the senators who were visiting and posing with the ladies. This woman had to pick up the dead bodies after the Battle of Fallujah, the dead bodies of insurgents. Many times all they could find was a finger in a mangled mess or a burned out pile of flesh. They often had to throw a rope over a body to pull on it to make sure it wasn't booby-trapped and would explode on them. They brought all the bodies in and marked them and then buried them facing east in specific graves with a Muslim chaplain present. This is the crew that hosted me. They're the ones that hosted me. People often ask me, what about Marines? I mean, they're brainwashed, they're baby killers, and I keep saying, okay, that's true. But if you could stop war, we won't need the Marines. And
Thank you.